What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and we're getting ready here for our weekly Forex forecast and analysis for the upcoming week of May the 11th through the 15th. We have a really important week ahead of us. This time we spent together right now planning ahead for the week ahead is absolutely critical. I look forward to sharing what you have. Before we get into it, we're going to take a look at the calendar next week. We have the New Zealand Central Bank with a rate statement and press conference on Tuesday. The most important event of the week ahead is going to be Fed Chairman Powell speaking on Wednesday. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. Then we do have on Thursday unemployment claims followed by core and retail sales. On Friday, let's take a look at what is going on when I say that the most important thing on the calendar is Powell speaking on Wednesday. You could see this week on Thursday, the Fed funds implied rates went down negative for December of 2020. The first time in history, you saw gold break out of a bull flag in response to that. Bitcoin was bid, and then in response, Fed Chairman Powell scheduled a meeting for Wednesday to address this. He wanted to probably what's going to happen, he's going to assure the market, or at least verbally talk up the fact that the Fed is not at any time looking to initiate negative rates. Gold sold off on Friday in response to that. This is absolutely on Wednesday something to watch out for. Most importantly, watch how the market reacts in response to it. Let's get into the charts. Let's see what's going on over here. I'm going to start off with the DXY. Now, I want you to focus in on what's going on over here. I outlined over here this trading range we have, and the DXY ever since the beginning of April has been stuck in this trading range. Now the range comes between, currently coming in next week, somewhere around 98.50 support low and 100.4 on the upside. That's the range that we're currently trading in. Okay, now because of that makes trading really tricky. You have to be able to assess what your strengths and your weaknesses are. I prefer to avoid things that are sideways and go after things that are actually trending either up or down. Now you have to be aware of your surroundings, and if you are looking to trade any dollar-based pairs, instead of getting caught in a chop, realize that until we break out of this range on the dollar, and we're going to look at some individual pairs next, that you're trading within the range, meaning you're buying off of support and selling off resistance, or you're waiting for a breakout of this range. Dollar still does maintain its bullish bias. As long as we're trading above 98.30, it's got a pretty strong bullish bias. As we get obviously towards the lower end of this channel and break below 98.80, the support we have over there at 98.80, it does, at that point you have to get cautious. If we break below outside of that channel and below 98.30, we should see some really further selling momentum against the US dollar. It should really pick up. Adversely, if we break to the upside of that channel and break above 101, at that point we're going to see the next leg up. All right, so be aware before we get into the other pairs what's going on here with the dollar. Let's check out what's going on right now with gold. All right, now we spoke about, here's a look at gold, spot gold. We spoke about how when the implied interest rates for 2020 December went negative, we saw gold break out of this bull flag. And I want you to focus on that right now. That's the upper resistance. It has since broken out over here and is coming back now, testing that broken resistance. We're going to see if that holds as support right now, if gold is able to find a footing and resume off of this, or whether or not we're going to come back down into that channel. Okay, so this is really important to watch. This is really important to watch on Monday, how gold reacts. Any resumption off of this. This is a very, very strong uptrend. Everything, the fundamentals are extraordinarily bullish for gold. The technicals are extraordinarily bullish for gold. If we do resume off of this pullback, testing the breakout, the broken resistance of the bull flag. Here's the bull flag right here. We broke out of it. If we come down and we're testing it now, if this holds and we resume off of it, I like this entry a lot. I'm looking for a possible test of the yearly highs and or break above, which could really set a sustained movement on gold. All right, that's something to really watch out for. Be aware of that on Monday. If we fall back into this channel over here, I'm not looking to short gold. We are in an uptrend on gold. Everything is extraordinarily bullish for gold. There's no reason to be looking to trade against the trend or fade it. In an uptrend, look to buy into support. Now, if we do break back into this channel, at that point, I'll be looking to establish a long position, possibly not off this support here, not off the support at 1670, but as we trade towards the lower trend channel support and or the support at 1641, that will be a place to first look for a long if we do retrace further to the downside. Let's take a look here at WTI Crude Oil. And you can see that we right now are stuck in a little bit of a neutral range between the resistance up at 28.55 and all the way down at the support at 21.79. Let me go ahead and flip that over to support now, because it's important to really keep your charts neat and order, pay attention to detail, and everything else is going to fall into place. There's nothing to do here on WTI right now except monitor it, okay? Just wait for a breakout to the upside. At that point, I would not be looking to play to the upside, but if we do come into the resistance at 35.82, that looks like a place to begin establishing a short. Right now, I don't see any play at all. Just neutral, continue monitoring WTI. If we do at any time break below the support now at 21.80, yep, that does open up the downside and we should see the momentum building. All right, let's take a quick check-in on Bitcoin. Listen, those who've been following the channel now for months, they understand that we have actually, our trading plan going into the halving has absolutely worked out. Absolutely according to plan. Everything that we've been looking for has happened. What do you do right now? Listen, if you're not familiar with the halving, if you're not familiar with Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, go to the playlist on this channel, the Bitcoin playlist, and watch the first 3 videos. After watching those 3 videos, after watching the first video, which is so well researched and presented, you will have a better understanding on Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, both the bull phase and the bear phase, as well as the halving, than anyone you walk into a room with. Right now, we're 2 days away from the halving. Nothing to do, only wait, watch. Right now, as we're inside this range over here, inside this triangle, I am looking any pullbacks into the 8200 or the trend line now support to go ahead and re-enter. We're getting close to the bull phase. It is up. There's also a video, the 4th video in that playlist is on what happens to the miners after the halving. If you're interested, watch that. Right now, if you're not positioned into Bitcoin, as we are 2 days away from the halving and getting very close to igniting the bull market phase, you simply do not want to try and time the market. Be aware there will be multiple 30% pullbacks. We are already up 8 weeks in a row off the lows. It's quite possible we have a pullback, but then again, you don't know. If you're not yet positioned into Bitcoin, you want to be looking at establishing and holding a position over the next 18 or 22 months. Don't try to trade or time the market. A lot of people like to trade Bitcoin. A lot of people during this bull market are going to come out behind. Your best bet right now is buying and holding Bitcoin. Anytime there's a 30% pullback, look for further accumulation, and do not try to trade in and out of Bitcoin. You're going to wind up buying in much higher than you sold. Focus on foreign exchange. Focus on the currency pairs. Make your money there. Now is the time to invest in Bitcoin. All right, let's take a look at the Euro US dollar. Now, we looked at the DXY and we established that right now the dollar index was in absolutely in a range. It was range bound. And you could see also at the same time, also the Euro US dollar is absolutely also trading in a range. What does that mean? For those who like that trading style, you could be buying off support and selling off resistance until you get a break above or a break below. Now, that's not my forte. That's not what I like to do. So I'm on the sidelines on these pair. That's why I monitor so many different crosses. because there's always opportunity. I go for where my strength is rather than trying to force something. Now, anyone who continues going ahead and looking to buy off support and sell off resistance, why we are in the range, absolutely, it's the way to go. It's good trading. I am watching for a break below this support over here at 1.0776. If we do, for sure we're going to be testing, or not for sure, I think we'll be testing yearly lows, and that is in jeopardy. You have to watch. If you haven't yet joined us for the live streams Monday through Friday, do join us. We take a look at all of the markets. We were talking about on Friday how now, because of the constitutional ruling by the German court, that perhaps the whole existence of the EU comes into question. We're going to see in the years ahead further fragmentation. Once that comes from France or Germany, the whole project comes in jeopardy. I'm watching for a breakdown. Traders on the commitment of traders have cut a little bit their euro positions last week, their euro long positions. They're still positioned long. It's a dollar story. We need to see which way the dollar index breaks out. Continue watching right now. We're towards the bottom half of the support here. If we get a breakdown, this is something that I'm interested in attacking this coming week. All right, let's take a look now at the pound US dollar, and just be aware this week negotiations restart between the EU and the UK. Okay, so the pound could be trading off of that news. I noticed over here this trend line over here that we broke below and have since come up, retested. The possibility exists on Monday on the opening that this either holds or is rejected. So this is in play, but at the same time, I'm also aware that, again, this is also in a tight trading range, right? So is this the breakdown starting right now? Excuse me, let me get a better line on that. Is this the breakdown we're seeing right now? Possibly. I'm watching for it. I'm going to be watching that on Monday. It's high on my watch list. At the same time, I'm aware that the dollar maintains and is holding that range, and I don't want to get caught up in such a sideways tight range. I'd rather play and wait for the breakout. Is this the first indication that we're breaking down? Possibly. I'm going to be watching it. Now, here is something that is high on my watch list: Euro, Japanese yen. A couple of things have happened here. Of course, we're in a ultra strong downtrend over here. We broke through this really, really important support level. All right, let me draw that in for you. We tested, broke down, came down, tested the low of the support, and then bounced really high, but into strong resistance, and since have faded hard. Now, the reason I say this is over here is because in a downtrend, what you're looking to do, a high probability entry, is selling off of resistance. Do not try to pick bottoms, right? Do not try to sell tops. Do not try to buy bottoms. You're looking for that high probability trade within a trend. So downtrends you sell of strong resistance, uptrends you buy off of strong support. Here we are right now. Look at what happened over here. This was that support that now could be local resistance. If we're rejected over here on Monday, this is an entry that I'm absolutely very interested in. There is, if this starts making lower lows over here, if the Euro US dollar breaks down out of that strong support it is and tests yearly lows, we could see some much further lows here on the Euro Japanese yen. At the same time, if this doesn't give me an entry by not making a lower low during my preferred session and comes up and tests this strong support that was broken, that is also an opportunity for me to lean into the short side. Those are two possible entries that I see coming up as early as Monday and or perhaps on Tuesday. So this is high on my watch list, and I'm looking to see what develops here on the Euro Japanese yen. Here's what's happening on the US dollar Japanese yen. Now, we're at kind of a tough spot to trade, but what I'm seeing is possibly this falling wedge pattern developing here on the US dollar Japanese yen. Now, if this is, and this breaks out to the upside, we could have definitely a sharp move into the 108.35 area. At the same time, and again, what is difficult about this, again, the dollar is just trading in that short range. Now, you could see this resistance at 106.97, right? So getting above that level, which would mean that we broke out of what could be this falling wedge, right? At that point, if we retest that, hold that support, that gives me the entry up into this area. Now, I'm not really bullish. I don't have a bullish bias on this until we break out of this yellow 5-year trend line to the upside. You could see that twice we have already. Both times we were rejected. However, if we do break above that trend line and above the 109.71 resistance area, you can see I put it blue because it's a line in the sand. Get above that. I'm really interested in a long up into the resistance at 112.19, 112.20. A break above that is really, I believe, setting up a huge move on the US dollar Japanese yen. But that's considering that if, because of, the dollar shortage, because of the dollar debt financial system we're in, if we start seeing further pressure on the system through the lack of dollars. Now, this is why we're seeing the dollar index trade in such a narrow range that's been kind of addressed by the Fed, the opening up of the direct swap lines to different central banks, the QE in effect, the $4 trillion expansion of the balance sheet. The dollar, with all of that, is still maintaining its strong bias so far. If it does break down, at the same time, I would love to be involved in a short against the dollar with the Japanese yen, because at that point, not only could we test the yearly lows, we could go down much further. So US dollar Japanese yen is actually something that's developing quite nicely to both possibly a bullish or bearish move, and a big one at that. At the same time, we could continue in this range for some time before we get a break, right? This big, strong support we have over here at the yearly lows down at 190. A break below that, things could start getting messy. Again, on the upside, watch the 109.71. This is obviously a bigger perspective thing. And if it's not offering opportunity in between, stay away from it until it does open up. We are setting up for potentially a large move. Get above this strong resistance over there at 112.19, right? We're going to come in. We're going to first test, right, the 120 level. Get above there. We're testing 125. We could really start making some moves to the upside, as well as do not rule out coming back testing between 80 and 85. It's just not the time yet to attack. We'll continue monitoring it. When it does happen, we go from consolidation to expansion. We want to be there. That's why it's important to do these weekly analysis and reviews to have that bigger perspective of what's happening, to be there to take advantage of it when it does. All right, let's take a look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar, and let's keep this simple. And when I say let's keep this simple, we are in a huge breakout to the upside here off of this trend line. This is a big, strong uptrend, and we've pulled back in that uptrend. What do we do in strong uptrends? We only look to buy off a support. That makes us easy, and that makes it easier. It keeps us out of trouble. At the same time, you all know we've been monitoring that tight trading range on the dollar index. It is here also. Now, as we're approaching the lower end of support, if we resume off of it, this is a nice opportunity to try and establish a long. I'm not looking to fade this. I'm not looking to take the short side. If we're going to attack the dollar, we're going to do it with some things that are acting strong, such as either the Australian dollar or possibly the Japanese yen, but we're not going to take a weak currency like the Canadian dollar and try to trade against the dollar. It doesn't make sense. If the dollar resumes out of the range towards the upside and starts strengthening, well, then we want to attack weakness. In this case, is the Canadian dollar. So we're looking here in this strong uptrend as we approach the bottom end of this range, possibly a resumption off of it to establish a long position against the Canadian dollar this coming week. I just mentioned the Australian dollar acting strong versus the dollar, so let's take a look at the Australian dollar, US dollar right now. And what I want you to notice, that why everything else has been kind of stuck in a range, right? This is actually in a slightly rising range, okay? Not only that, we looked at the Euro US dollar, it was at the bottom of its range. Here you could see the Australian dollar towards the top of its range. What does it mean? It means the Australian dollar is acting stronger than the euro. A lot of traders have been attacking the euro Australian dollar, but here focused in on the dollar, right? If the dollar breaks down, the Australian dollar is a pair that obviously has been showing strength versus the dollar, continues to do so. So that's where you would like to attack dollar weakness through what's acting strong against it. In this case, the Australian dollar is acting stronger than the British pound. It's acting stronger than the euro. It's where you'd want to attack. It's acting stronger than the Canadian dollar. It's where you'd want to attack with. All right. It's not right now because of how it's acting. If the dollar starts strengthening, the play is not really to go long dollars versus Australian dollar or short the Australian dollar, US dollar. Again, then it would be to attack the weakness. Euro showing weakness versus the dollar. That's where you would set up for the attack. Canadian dollar showing weakness. All right. Strength versus weakness. It's a big edge. And why there's no trade right here, right now, I wanted you to be aware of it. Any pullbacks? Perhaps you could position it out to the long side. Otherwise, we wait for a breakout. The breakout might not really be to above this resistance all the way up here at 0.66, 675. That might be the area to watch. That will be the top end of this channel that we just draw in here as well. So a breakout over here could open up. I'm not looking to short this. Again, we're trying to focus on strength versus weakness. There are other pairs offering better opportunity if you're going to go long the dollar. We just mentioned the euro Australian dollar, so let's take a look at that as well. You could see right here, this is actually trading right now to a really important level. Notice the resistance right here, then follow that line to the right and notice this area where support is coming down and being tested again. Now, I would have to say at this moment in time that this move has been reversed far enough to say that this uptrend breakout is no longer in play. Definitely the momentum is now with the bears to the downside. As we come into this area of support, if we break below next week, why I don't play the actual breakdown, if we do get a retest and then flip this into resistance, that looks like a play, again, playing current strength versus weakness. We're swing traders. We're looking anywhere from 1 day to 5 days out. We got to follow the momentum. This is where the momentum is right now. This is an opportunity that could be setting up. It looks to me as early as possibly during New York or during London or New York on Monday morning. All right, let's take a look here at the pound Japanese yen. We know that the yen, although for the last couple of sessions has been a little bit weak, we have looked and discerned throughout this weekly Forex forecast and analysis that the pound is also showing weakness. And if you look here at the pound Japanese yen, you can see that we've now pulled back. After rolling over, we've pulled back now into this area of support. And we're going to check now that it's broken if it flips to resistance. This is absolutely in play coming in again early next week on Monday. If we get a rejection of this level, it's a place to reestablish a short. What happens if we break to the upside? I would just stand aside. I would wait to see what happens when we come up and test this area. And as well as I should now be including this area right here, which is also resistance. Right, so let me flip that over to resistance. A test during the week into that area of resistance that provides an opportunity to look to ahead and also see if the resistance holds and we resume off it for a short. But right now, this is where we're looking on Monday. So there's lots of opportunity. What I'm getting at, I've showed you, the euro Japanese yen, the pound Japanese yen are actually offering actionable signals right away. The euro Australian dollar, something to monitor. Maybe not before London or New York, a possible entry, or later than that, maybe on Tuesday. U.S. dollar pairs, if you're playing the range, there's the possibility. Otherwise, you're waiting for the breakout. It's really helpful to take this time over the weekend to reestablish yourself, to kind of take a breath, go over the charts, and set that plan ahead for the week. Please join us for the live streams every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. Go ahead and join the Telegram group and be alerted whenever we go live so you can join us. Have a great day, everyone. Talk to you soon.